That was funny, haha. So we have a panel now here, and we will talk about instant data, aka the real time. You heard me before waxing on real time data before. Why don't you introduce yourself first, Yannick?
Thank you. I'm Yannick Janssen. I'm the deputy CTO of RioBank. I've been with RioBank from the start. We built the full infrastructure and the new bank that is here to back up actually all our SMEs and retail customers.
Amir?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here at MongoDB Day. I'm here heading engineering department at Network International, where we focus on agility, speed, resilience, and I'm responsible for building like high quality financial systems in Network International.
And I'm amazed, most of you haven't mentioned the word we are hiring yet. So, and it was already 2 minutes, but fine, you had the opportunity. Just kidding. So when we look at instant data, there's one important part is why these gentlemen are here with me on stage. We talked a lot about silos, breaking silos, modernization. What we want to discuss a little bit is how we see this, and less from the part what we're seeing. I would like to invite you as well. If you have questions, you can ask questions. This is okay for you guys. We had to discuss this in the prep call. I forgot to ask you. Sorry, but why don't we start with, when we look at the data landscape, why don't we start with you? You're a payment provider, obviously, very famous in that regards. Where do you see right now the financial data landscape?
I believe this financial industry is currently undergoing lots of transformation because this is not a new industry. We have lots of applications and systems which are legacy in nature, right? And there's a lot of traction to move this data from legacy systems to modernized platforms, which obviously one of them is MongoDB. And that's where I believe instant data would play a huge role in modernizing and really taking these institutions forward.
Yannick, you're with Rio, obviously very modern, and you had the advantage of starting fresh. So how's your view on modern data? What do you see maybe works as well things you've seen earlier in your life?
So for us, the modern data is coming with the AI aspect. When you talk about developer database, developer data, Wio is mainly a fintech. We are not really bankers, but really focusing on technology. So having data actually and all the MongoDB capability that will give us actually a capacity to use AI efficiently and also data streaming efficiently on the technology. So this is where I see that for us, MongoDB is pretty good.
So when you take a look from that move, so putting my own story up now again, from you have to modernize your legacy data to modern to be able to run AI. Where would you see, what's the path, what you would suggest people, how should they do that?
So modernizing the data stack, actually you need to start with a real strategy on your data. I believe that you need to see where you are going actually. You need a target. You never get the target if you don't have it. We started with the strategy of the data, making sure that what we wanted to do in the next few years, the things that will come actually in Rio, we think about the strategy first. And then we decided to go with a certain typology of database and data stack, which is important for us and our developers. So starting with the strategy, and then modernizing is something more complex actually. It's easier to start fresh from our side. We started with new technology, new capabilities. But modernizing, you look at this Azure data, you look at the stack, and you can modernize it in parallel. I really believe in building fresh. I mean, I've seen many companies trying to modernize a stack that cannot be modernized at some point. And I really believe in a fresh start on the side of a system, legacy system. Maybe it's not the.
Yeah, so what's your view?
Absolutely agree with them. I think first we need to have a strategy. Once we have this strategy, I think there are lots of tech stacks which you need to really look at it and define your strategy. For example, moving away from monolith, you need to move more towards microservices architecture, data streaming, and maybe even look at the non-functional requirements, because most of the people, they really forget about the non-functions and they focus more on functions. So when you focus more on NFRs, I believe all the aspects that we have been telling about, resiliency, performance, speed, agility, all these things will be covered. So I think for me, NFRs will be the most important one.
Okay, NFR, so availability mostly, what else?
Availability, performance, resiliency, uptime, ability to really monitor your platform, post its life, all these things.
Makes no sense. When we're looking into this transformation in data platform, one thing what I get normally stuck on is, and this is maybe unfair, when people tell me, yeah, we do batch. And then I ask them, this is interesting. How do you do account reconciliation by end of day when you do real-time transactions? And then people start hand-waving something with cache layers and whatever. What is the right approach to ensure that when you move up from the old environments and you move to the data environment, do you have to move everything up? That's my suggestion, obviously. Or can you keep things somewhere on the old and replicate it out? What's your opinion on that one?
I think it should be a combination of both. It should be a hybrid approach.
He's against me, go on, yes.
Yeah. We definitely cannot move overnight all our legacy systems, because especially in our organization, we have like hundreds and hundreds of legacy systems. So we need to really prioritize what really makes our business profitable. Based on that, we need to take a call, how do we really move from legacy systems to new systems. And in fact, we have done very successfully in recent past. Because for example, if you look at our payment gateway, that's completely built on modern architecture. It's completely microservices based, supported obviously by MongoDB. It's deployed on cloud. So we are already there. And I believe after this session, the next step is to really look into the AI aspects which you guys are introducing and take it to next level.
Okay, so you're against me. You keep the legacy running around and just trying to fix reduction, but that's okay.
Not for all.
Yeah, it's not for all. Okay.
It should be done in phases based on priorities.
And Yannick, you're hopefully more on my side. Move everything up.
Yeah,
and get rid of the old stuff.
We like the big bang. We did a big bang actually on MongoDB last year, and now we're only about 80% of our database on MongoDB. We decided to migrate once and for all the database and to leave behind actually the technologies that were not helping us actually to move forward with what we wanted to do in the future.
Where do you see, obviously we're talking about lifting a lot of stuff in the cloud and you are obviously kept in cloud, so in that regards, you have a lot of stuff running there, you have more stuff obviously in prem. Where do you see in the region here specifically the sovereignty requirements coming in that play? Because historically people were by default sovereignty compliant because they run in the data center is in Jalali and therefore the problem is resolved. Where do you see this development going today? Because obviously there are sub factors like encryption and so on playing in as well.
We are so lucky, I think, that we are both on cloud, but we are so lucky to have a region that is attracting actually every cloud provider. If you look, we are in the middle of a battle between US and Asia data cloud providers. So everyone is coming here, and it's very interesting because it provides a lot of offering for us, and we can leverage these capabilities. On the sovereign cloud, more and more actually UAE is trying and we are working with them actually to build more sovereign capability on top of the cloud provider that are existing, more controls, to make sure that we protect even more the data of our customers locally. So the build of the sovereign cloud on top of what is existing today is something that is very interesting and being built actually at the moment with multiple parties like Cybersecurity Council and others.
So because we are in financial and payments industry, there are lots of regulatory aspects, especially from central bank, from PCI, from multiple authorities. So we need to really strike a balance when we choose between on-prem and cloud. So, but the features which MongoDB is currently providing us, I believe at least in UAE, we are able to successfully comply to all the rules and regulations, and we are successfully running our EG on cloud. But when it comes to other regions, for example, we have presence across multiple countries and different geographies. We are present in KSA, Jordan, South Africa. So unless you really don't have the on-prem deployment within the borders of that country, cloud won't be possible, even if I want to, because there are regulations in place. So yeah, again, as I said earlier, it's a kind of hybrid approach for us across depending on the region where we are operating. That's where we
But technically, the same stack. That's what is interesting is that with MongoDB, you have the same stack from on-premise to cloud.
Right. That's the advantage which we are getting from MongoDB. So in UAE, we are using Atlas, but when it comes to deployments in other regions like KSA or South Africa, there we have the capability to deploy the complete on-prem solution of MongoDB and run it exactly as is without changing anything at application level. So that's the comfort which we are getting about this MongoDB.
Yeah, this is one of the items where I would ask. I brought something in the keynote as well, that it's literally the same code, right? There's no difference between the version on your laptop and the version you're running in the cloud. One subject, when we take a look a little bit higher up now, when we think about instant data, real-time capabilities, where do you see the differentiator from the industry side, from the business side of that one? I make my jokes about benches. I apologize to anybody who has a Z24 or something from IBM in the basement. But when we take a look, where do you see real-time really having the impact for the consumer?
Imagine a situation where you are able to detect a fraud before even it happens. So if you don't really have an instant data platform with legacy systems, you really cannot do anything about it. So that's where I see the differentiators, like the ability or the capability to take decisions which would really benefit business both from financial or reputational way. That's the differentiator. Like you can have lots of data in instant data platform which would really help your business and the team who is really working on those products to take decisions instantly by looking at that data. No need to really dwell into like legacy systems. Like you'll have data at hand. So that's a differentiator.
For us, it's very important to have this instant data capability. We want to look at how the behavior of the customer on the application, making sure that we protect actually the customer. We want to make sure that we can identify if it's a malicious usage of the application or the behavior. We don't collect data that we don't need, but we really want to make sure that we can protect. We can use this. My CEO is always want to have the last information, the most updated information. So having real-time data, real-time information on the customer, what they're doing on our application is very important. And it mitigates a lot of risk actually to have it instantly instead of having a batch processing.
Do you see already AI coming into play in that one to understand the desire of the consumer towards the app to preempt things, or is it still too far out?
No, it's not too far out. I think there are a lot of things that we are working on at the moment that is very interesting related to AI. We have an implementation of business case of AI already in Rio. We are already using it, but there is more to be done for sure and to extend the usage. But definitely, I think the capacity of a vector or database is something that for us is critical.
I'm amazed about the fraud detection case. So this is somehow, whenever I mention AI in banking, the first case where people come up is fraud detection anywhere in the world. So this must be still obviously a big thing. It's quite amazing. I would assume there's so many solutions by now in place, but this preemptive part is obviously the next layer. So how do you think, what will be the next layer of the offenders? When you're preempting them before they start,
so what, I think once we identify it, we can take lots of corrective actions.
Okay.
Maybe we can send out notifications or temporarily block debit cards or accounts. So fraud detection is the most maybe most discussed case, but there are lots of other cases. For example, we can do personalization of offers, like instant offers, based on the real-time streams or data that is coming in. I can offer a customer who is in a particular location doing some particular activity. So that kind of capability I would be able to get with instant data platform.
How much do you see the scalability impacting that one at the end? Because when you think about the regions you're in, from South Africa to KSA to UAE, these are large data amounts.
Touchwood, I hadn't had any issues with scalability.
Yes, that was the answer I waited for.
Right, because we are using Atlas, right? So it's highly scalable. It's just few clicks, and I get my nodes up and running different
for
ways.
that.
Scalability is what is amazing with Atlas. You don't have to think about it. We scale. Of course, we pay for it. But we scale easily. And this is what is amazing when we have this increase of visitors on our app, which is great actually. And about the AI, just before, something interesting is that the AI is now, you will have some models that are able to predict your next 5 moves. So for customer, it's very interesting that we can analyze their behavior, and with certain AI able to actually predict the moves. The next moves are interesting when you look at fraud and behavior of the customer.
So you guys should talk, right? As soon as somebody buys something over network, then you should be knowing, and you need to do credit now because you're bankrupt. So, okay, then. just trying to make business here, okay? Both solutions would need a database for that. Okay. Other questions from the crowd here in between? So let me give the people a chance to ask questions. You have 2 absolute experts on banking and on cloud as well as databases. Don't be shy, I'm not pointing you. I know this is a very, no? Yes. Question? Yes?
See, there are few customers, especially financial customers, who are living with the community edition. Okay. So do you have any specific advice to come to the...
Oh my God, the guys must be saying it. So I got the question. The question was if you run in financial services community edition, if I have any specific advices.
My advice would be to migrate to a proper edition that will protect and secure the database.
So that's always a question to me, that's a little bit unfair, but actually, so point number 1 is community will not go away. You see we're starting with vector search and search in community as well. So it's a fully valid unit, and you can run it in financial services as much as you want, as long as you think you're compliant with everything what you need in regards of encryption, backups, and other things in regulation. That's between you and the regulator. Otherwise, you can run this as long as you want. Don't call me for support. Other more practical questions? Yes, sir.
Do we see any physical snapshot backup available for community edition in the near future?
Do we need, sorry again?
I mean, do you guys offer any physical snapshot option for a community edition? Right now, we only have...
Okay, that becomes the MongoDB feature discussion here. We can deal with that one later, but the question was, do we deal with snapshots for the community edition? No. Why? It's a community edition. You do it whatever you want. If you want to have carry great stuff, we have to talk about that, okay? But any question to my audience here, that's way more fun. Yes, sir.
Let's imagine you have some data stored in the European Union, for example, due to GDPR concerns, and you need to stream them into the UAE or into the US. Do you have any of these use cases, and how did you solve them with Mongo, potentially the change stream?
Okay, so the question was, you have multi-jurisdictional data in multiple jurisdictions, you have GDPR in other regions, how do you solve that?
Currently, we are not yet there in Europe. We are mostly in MENA and GCC regions, so we haven't really hit that use case. But we do have a centralized data lake, which is used for streaming data across from these multiple regions. And we take lots of steps there for data sanitization to make sure that the only data which is not customer sensitive or non-PII related data is transferred to data lake. So lots of checks and controls are built before we ingest any data in our data lake.
Unfortunately, all our data is in UAE, banking, so we are careful about this. Unfortunately, I cannot.
Anybody other question? Yes, sir.
What are the main benefits that you guys are seeing real and network while using MongoDB to provide data to regulatory entities like central banks and so on? Do you see any advantage provided by Mongo there?
You want yeah. So one I have already spoken about, really scalability. So it all depends on because we are in this financial industry, the loads the volumes are something which we really cannot predict. For example, on some summer sale day or some sale which usually happens in Dubai, the volumes will just increase by tenfold. And that's where the scalability aspect of MongoDB and all the whole ecosystem really helps us. So we have configured auto scalability rules across our whole stack, including Azure, MongoDB, whatever is part of that stack. And then the availability part also, I do not want to quote the incident, but just some time back there was a global outage around some cloud provider. But MongoDB, I must tell that they really helped us in recovering our services within few minutes, because the regions which were impacted were mostly in Europe. So we were able to switch over the services within few clicks and few minutes from our current affected side to other side, which was 20 times faster than our competition. So when it comes to uptime, when it comes to scalability, when it comes to the support also, the support is really doing great. If you have any queries, they are always available for us. You just need to raise a ticket and yeah, that's that.
Yes, resiliency, scalability, important for the central bank. We are giving also reporting to tell them what we are doing actually with our data, with database. So they are checking this, and of course they are very happy that we are keeping the data locally, even if it's in cloud, it's protected. They know that the security that will on top of it, and actually the security is a key part here for us. It was very important.
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, I wonder whether you're using any of the MongoDB stack to calculate your financial risk, and whether you're doing that intraday and the day for regulatory purposes.
So the question was if, probably more the question, do we uses MongoDB to calculate financial risk inside Mongo or not?
We use Mongo to calculate financial risk. We use also Mongo for everything that is related to our trading capability, Bitcoin, and all this that we do on the app. So definitely.
Are you doing this real time using streams or?
We don't do it in real time at the moment with this.
But to give you an idea, I work with a very large tier 1 bank based out of Europe and Hong Kong. And that one, so we are moving over about 80 million positions an hour in trades. That was actually not asset liquidity, but the trading book side, not the banking book side. And we're calculating the real-time credit risk and counterparty credit risk there. And as you can imagine, this is a question of milliseconds partially. And the baselines, what we do, including the FX and everything on top of that one, we're doing with the aggregation framework. So in that part, the aggregation framework is really good because you can build views towards specific counterparties where you have high exposures. These are basically, and we're talking here amounts like $100 billion into swaps and things like that. This is serious amounts. And as you know from Lehman, these things can go wrong pretty fast, in minutes. So you don't have send a billion oops, that guy was bankrupt and the billion is gone. You try to avoid those moments. So that's where counterparty risk is. And this is very easy to do with MongoDB because you run the aggregation framework, you generate the view, and then you, because you have the document model, no plug intended at this point, you're able to enrich the data in real time with different FX and shoot the different FX values from different currencies in at real time, and can in real time, when a trade happens again, that single counterparty update, while in parallel the FX taker gives you in milliseconds the updates in what FX should be applied. This is, I hope it's not getting too financial here, but these are things what you can do with MongoDB. And before, I've done these kind of things before, I worked for MongoDB. If you look at my resume, you figure out what I did. And trust me, these were very complex Monte Carlo simulations, what you had to run in deltas based on an old SQL Server database and try to build some in-memory vectors and KDB database and Hazelcast, and you throw everything in the kitchen sink against this. And we folded this whole landscape into a database. Now, to be fair, that is a pretty large database, large number of nodes, high performance. We're talking still under millisecond reaction times. A trader gets a release for a trade under a second. So that gives, if somebody's interested, I'll talk about this one. I've just 30 years experience in that space. You asked the wrong question. Thank you. Yes, other questions. Sorry if I went to do that, but I think this helps you a little bit more. Yes, sir.
Hi. So in your internal teams, like development teams, have they started using coding assistants like Cursor AI or Copilot? And if they have started using something, how are they getting evaluated? Developer will say like it is increasing productivity by 20%, 30%, but actually how it is getting evaluated and how do you choose which assistant to go with?
That is a good one. Let me repeat first so I'm getting it at the back. The question from the gentleman was, are you guys using Copilot or AI tools for productivity development, and what is the true benefit and percentage range?
I think it's less related to probably to Mongo, but we evaluated Cluster AI and GitHub Copilot, both very interesting technologies. They are very basic differences actually. Cluster AI is very advanced, but GitHub Copilot is 90% close to what Cluster AI can do today. But you have certain functionality, like you are able to use it on multiple IDE, for instance, for GitHub Copilot, and there is security also on top of GitHub Copilot that you don't have with Cursor AI. So our developers are using today GitHub Copilot, and they have a productivity improvement. We say that depend on the developer and the seniority of the developer. But we can talk about, at the moment, we can talk about 20% at the moment from our side.
Just curious, how do you get that number? Sometimes management asks, okay, we have bought this Copilot thing. Now tell us, is it getting?
We are getting this from the developer directly. Directly, we discuss with the developer on what they got actually in terms of, I would say, they develop faster because they don't have to a lot of things are being done actually automatically for them.
Normally, what you see is actually very simple. When you do point poker and you do your scrubbing, and then you see that the points go down suddenly, and you wonder why, and you know roughly where your teams are, and you see actually the points go down during the scrum poker. That's actually a very simple measurement. Now, these values are, as you know, not comparable. You cannot compare team A versus B, but if you see one team suddenly constantly quoting lower and lower, then you get an idea that something is going on, and this is getting very drastic very fast. By the way, we're using tools as well in-house. We're doing as well, we call it eat our own pizza because we're not into dog food, sorry. But we're doing that one, and we're using as well, we see improvements. It depends on the departments, like the front-end teams seem more like the back-end teams. When you work on a very small code of several hundred lines of code, highly optimized from the MQL compiler, that's a completely different discussion than when you have to push out larger code base, interaction, usability, or tools. What we're doing, remember, we run millions of clusters with MongoDB, and out of that one, we're using AI to identify problem zones that the preemptive support can call up saying, I think you have a problem coming up and you think doesn't stable. Those kind of things as well. So, good.
I think it will also, for the future, not using this kind of tool is a recipe for disaster.
I think both of you covered, so nothing much to add there.
Nadia, our controller, is already making signs to me and deepest concern about time, but maybe we take the lady as well, so thank you.
I have a question, like I understand you guys are running multiple microservices. What kind of observability tools you guys have integrated into the ecosystem?
So the question was, what kind of observability tools are utilized?
So we have used multiple tools, starting with Grafana. Right? The whole data is ingested in EHS stack, and then we have Grafana connect to it. On top of that, we have some other products. I'm not sure if I can take those names here, but we have got lots of other tools, which really helps us in like making sure we are on top of our game. get to know everything before it impacts. So we have got 24/7 teams sitting constantly monitoring different dashboards. We have full alerts, fully automated, full observability strategy.
And we are using a mix of Prometheus, Datadog, ELK, Grafana, plus the cloud providers and the platform providers stack for observability.
Cool. I thank you both for having this joyful discussion. I thank as well the audience for the lively feedback and questions. And I think I'm handing back over to Nadia. Thank you.